Hello and welcome to the Manifest to Live Life Golden Show. This is episode 83, 7 powerful ways to become mindful to make your manifestation game stronger. There has been some new information has just come to the forefront, and it's really cool and very law of attraction-ish that this topic is coming up today and coming up in my life in a lot of different ways. So mindfulness is, it's a catchphrase. It's definitely something that we've heard before, and maybe it doesn't mean a lot to you. I don't think it really meant a lot to me until recently. And I'm having a new understanding of how mindfulness connects to your manifestation game and how you can use mindfulness to really become the most powerful creator. So we're going to go over the definition of mindfulness and what it might mean at a deeper level. And the law of attraction part of this, I think that's so cool, is some of you may know, many of you know, I've just revamped my Quantum Speak book. So there's been a little bit of confusion on Amazon. Just so you know, Quantum Speak is Mindful Manifestation Secrets. It's the same book. However, the cover has been revamped, which the cover is really beautiful. And I added podcast episodes at the end of every chapter. So it's a little bit different, just a little bit. But it's a fantastic book to read more than once. So if you read Quantum Speak and you ordered Mindful Manifestation Secrets, it's got new energy around it. So it'll be great for you to revisit it. The thing about manifesting, law of attraction, mindfulness, this whole game of life, this is the thing. It takes consistent effort. It takes a determination that you never stop from. It's like the second you take your eyes off the prize, the second you go back to your old ways and your old neural pathways and loops, you're going to be in, the doubts. You're going to be in those monkey mind games that aren't going to allow you to manifest really strongly. Now, the great thing about going back into those loops and revisiting them is that you're different, that you've actually grown past them and you don't stay there for as long as you used to. And they're still very valuable because they are still a step one moment where you are creating stronger desire. So wherever you are, it's totally okay. If you're doing a little revisit, hello, I do it pretty often, not super often, but when I do, I always come out expanded and grown from it. So that's why I like to share this stuff. So because I named my book Mindful Manifestation Secrets, this mindfulness stuff is coming at me. And that's how law of attraction works, right? What we focus on expands. So my husband and I have been having a lot of conversations around mindful drinking. There's this whole craze out there, and we're realizing that a lot of the craze comes from COVID. Like a lot of people I've been talking to recently got really caught up in drinking during COVID because, a lot of people were home and the world was really scary and we didn't really know what to do. And quite honestly, I feel like them leaving liquor stores open, there was underlying messages there, you should go out and you should be able to still drink. You should still be able to get a buzz. You should still be able to put these poisons in your body that actually lower your immune system. Hello. So I've been talking to a lot of people, and then we've joined some groups about mindful drinking because I'm really interested in it. In fact, there's a group that does a whole thing about mindful drinking. And I've just always been interested in the fact that we've got this substance out here that has really got our society. It really does. It's really reaped in our society. And there are beliefs around it. And I've been working on my belief systems with it. I've taken long stretches of time off from it. And I really love that. And as I'm becoming more and more mindful around it, it's losing its power over me. It's really just not something that I want to take part in, especially in a big way in my life. It may still have a place there. I'm still clarifying that. But for the most part, it's like, it doesn't have a huge hold on me. And that's pretty cool. I mean, when I look at these people's stories, people that are really working on their mindful drinking game, and they can't get 4 days. They can't get 4 days in a row of not drinking. I'm like, wow, I have come really far. I remember being a daily drinker. I remember drinking a lot and thinking, in fact, when I joined the 1 year no beer group, I had asked my friend who had been, I think she was 3 months, alcohol free at that point, like, how did you do it? Sign me up. How did you do it? Because I couldn't figure out how to put a bunch of days together. And now I've done 45, 90 days, like tons of stretches. And I really love my progress. I'm really excited about that. I feel like I've come to a whole new place with it. So that's where mindfulness also is showing up for us. If you are truly mindful about what you're doing, then you will be mindful about what you're ingesting. You'll be mindful about what you're thinking. You'll be mindful about what you're looking at in your experience, about what you're allowing into your field. So the definition of mindfulness that I looked up on Google is this: a mental state achieved by focusing on one's awareness on the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings and bodily sensations used as a therapeutic technique. I thought that was a really amazing definition because it's having a full awareness about what is going on in your body, what is going on in your mind, what are you allowing into your experience, and how is it creating a feeling of wanting to react. And the coolest thing about manifestation and mindfulness is how you change everything is how you respond. So when you get super mindful about stuff, you have power over how you're about to respond. So I love that. I love the idea of mindfulness. The other thing that I've really noticed in my life experience about mindfulness is being fully present. When you are fully present to nature, when you are fully present to the person talking in front of you, when you are fully present to any activity you're doing, any creativity you're doing, when you are fully present in that moment, that's where all of your creation power is. That's what zero state awareness is. When you come into meditation and you just clear the slate and you get really super present and you're just being, you're not doing, you're not thinking, you're not running around, you're not going over your to-do list, you're just dropping back, you're dropping behind the mind and you're letting that silence come. Zero state awareness is where everything is created from. So the more you can do that in your life, the more you can decide what you want to create in the next moment. And that is really freaking good news. Really good news. Not good news if you don't have control over anything. If you don't have control over your thoughts or your emotions or what your triggers, if you don't have any control over that, I would ask you to revisit, the other 80 episodes and start working on this process with yourself, start journaling some things out, start healing and releasing, and start paying attention to what is really going on inside of you, because we can't get to where we want to go until we acknowledge where we are. That's one of the biggest things about manifestation. Law of attraction is taught in a lot of different modalities. A lot of people are sharing it. And one of the biggest disservices I think I've seen in teaching universal law and what I've taken in is sometimes people lose that spiritual component of it and what actually makes energy move in connecting with what's really going on with yourself. You can't just think positive. I'm trying to think positive. I've heard people say that so many times. And then in the next breath, they're complaining about what's happening. I'm trying to be positive. I'm worried all the time. I'm anxious all the time. I'm trying to not be, I'm trying to be in denial of what's going on underneath. And that is the greatest way to create the exact opposite of what you're looking to create, because you've got to acknowledge, we have to acknowledge the fears. Remember, false evidence appearing real is what fear is. We have to acknowledge the fear and face the fear in order to dissipate the fear. We have to acknowledge it. We got to look at it. And when we look at it, when we face it, when we deal with it, a lot of times it's not as big as we thought it was. When we were going through a lot of our financial stuff, getting on the phone and talking to people, talking to our creditors, talking to our car loan people, talking to the mortgage people, that was all part of us taking our power back. So if you're trying to ignore things and you're pushing it away and you're feeling that fear underneath, that is actually what you're creating from. And if you're doing things out of fear, I don't want this to happen, so I'm going to do this, you're still conducting from what you don't want to happen, and most likely it's going to happen. The things that you're trying to avoid, what you resist persists. So we've got to connect with what's going on now. Where are we right now in order to set that GPS for where we want to go? You have to know where you are in order to know where to go next. So that's your acknowledgement. Mindfulness can also be described as being fully present and fully aware in this moment. So when you're not thinking about the next thing you're going to say, when you're not thinking about the next thing you're going to do, so often we walk around just in our to-do list, in that monkey mind of overwhelmment. It's like slight overwhelmment with a lot of people just trying to get through their day and to try to get as many things accomplished in one day as they possibly can. And that's not a way to live peace. That's not a way to live joy. That's not a way to live flow. When you live flow, there's that spiritual component that comes in that allows you to trust and have faith and to be able to let some things go, to be able to create some balance in your life so you're not struggling, so you're not working so hard, so you're not killing yourself. Because what's the point? Like literally, what is the point of life if we're going to do that to ourselves? If we're not going to really connect with the perspectives of life is precious and we get to create it. And because we have the power to create it, we get to decide how we want to wake up every day. Your state of how you wake up every day is how you are creating. Are you waking up pissed off? Are you waking up dreading life? Are you snoozing your alarm 20 times? These are the things that you've got to start taking a hold of and putting things in place so that throughout your day, you've got a connection to mindfulness. You've got a connection to your ability to create. You have a connection to that awareness of, am I in the problem or am I in the solution? You'll know by how it feels. You're in the problem when you're anxious. You're in the problem when you're in overwhelmment. You're in the problem when you keep complaining to everybody about the problem, right? Those are problem-oriented energies, and the problem and the solution are different energies. Sometimes you got to let that problem go for a little bit. You got to say, you know what? I don't have enough information to deal with this right now. I need to just decide what I want to happen. I need to trust. I need to let my faith up level through this. And I need to steer myself in the direction of what I can do right now. And sometimes what you can do is doing nothing. Remember that. Sometimes doing nothing is doing something. And you're not doing nothing when you're deciding what you want. You're not doing nothing when you're visualizing and feeling for what you want to be created. You're doing a lot. Energetically, you are creating. And in that energy field, that's when it all happens, baby. That's when that wave comes out. It starts to break down into particles, and then eventually it becomes physical matter when you start conducting energetically and you start deciding, this is how I want to feel and this is what I want to create. And because emotions are addictive, it can be a real challenge to make these decisions. But you have to be mindful and aware enough to say, okay, every time this happens with my mother, my sister, my husband, I get resentful. Every time this happens. And I've got to ask myself, do I want more of that? Do I want more of that resentment? Or can I sit down and kind of write this out and say, why am I feeling so resentful? Are they taking from me or am I over giving? Am I allowing this taking to take place, which is creating resentments and not allowing me to be in joy and not allowing them to experience something different with me? Because you're the one who is in charge. You absolutely are. And as much as you want to say, I'm in bondage and these people have me and there's nothing I can do, I have to help them, living this obligatory experience, you have a choice at the end of the day to say, I need to do what's right for me. I need to take care of myself so that I can take care of others from a more whole and loving place, not from a place of depletion and a place where I'm not telling myself that I matter. That's how we end up getting sick. That's how we end up, not living life to the fullest. We end up being really miserable and really heavy because we're giving out too much and we're not being mindful about ourselves, right? That mindfulness, that connection to your feelings and your bodily sensations. If your heart's getting tight, if you've got all of a sudden you've got a stomach ache, those are systems in your body that are telling you, hey, listen, this isn't working for you. You don't like the way this feels. You need to do something else. That anxiety is calling you to pay attention to what you have going on within so you can either heal something or you can create something different. That's what those sensations are calling you to. All right, so I got 7 powerful ways, and you guys all know I'm going to start with meditation. So, meditation is not about trying to get somewhere or trying to check something off your list. Meditation is all about a letting go. It's about letting go of what's happened up until now. It's getting present and in the moment with yourself and only yourself. That's what places you in higher consciousness when you let go of everything that's happening here. And once you really have a practice and your practice starts gaining momentum, you're going to realize, wow, this is really blissful. I have nothing going on and it feels really good. I'm actually getting a little vacation from life. I'm getting a little break from all of the barrage of thoughts and the vibrations that are creating what I don't want. I'm getting a break from my anxiety. When you do that, you're breaking free from it. And what you're allowing yourself to do is to create a stronger mindful game. So think of meditation as that muscle builder for mindfulness. That's what meditation is, because it's going to allow you to pause in life, which means you're not going to respond and react so crazily, like habitually. You're going to be able to respond in kind to, what do I really want to happen? What do I really want to create in this life experience? Do I want to continue the same things over and over again? Or do I want to say enough? Do I want to say enough with the resentments? Like, the resentments are eating me alive. I'm not enjoying life when I'm resentful, you know? Crazy. Did a lot of that. Ooh, yeah. Let's get rid of the resentments. Let's get rid of the obligations. Let's get rid of feeling like life is not within our power, and start redirecting our attention and our focus and our awareness towards what does make us feel powerful, what does help us to feel loved and supported and taken care of. No one is going to do this for you, especially if you don't have these feelings for yourself. If you don't feel loved and supported and you feel lonely, no one's going to do that for you, because they are a reflection of what you have going on inside. If you feel broke, if you feel down on your luck, all of those things you are vibrating from. Those are your states. Think about your states for a minute. Think about the moods that you are connecting with throughout your day. Are you super grumpy all the time? Are you super frustrated all the time? Are you super worried all the time? Are these your identities? If you're identifying with these emotions, what do you think is going to come back to you? You have to think about that. Everything that you're sending out is coming back to you. Also, with people, everything you're sending to them is coming back to you. So if you're shit talking people, right? Remember the shit stir video I did? That was like TikTok, and on Reels, I did this whole video on, are you a shit stirrer? You know, are you telling people things that are going to create a lot of negativity? Because that is coming back to you. You know, are you seeking revenge on people? Are you complaining about people? Are you picking on people? You know, you nagging all the time about looking at what people have that's going on that you don't like or that you think is wrong with them. You can't fix someone from there. You can't help them fix them. First of all, you can't fix anyone anyways. And you can't help them to become more by telling them that they are less. Ugh, that's so good. You cannot help them to become more by telling them they are less, by telling them what's wrong with them. You can potentially help them to become more aware, but if someone is not ready to hear what you have to say, it will feel like an attack. So they'll just go into defense, and then nobody's getting anywhere. It's not a teaching moment. That's what we call it. So in order for us to become super mindful about our relationships, about the energy that we're sending out, about the energy we're sending to our finances, the energy that we're sending to our partners, the energy that we're sending out to ourselves. You know, do you look in the mirror every day and go, oh God, I'm getting old, or oh, I need to lose weight? You know, I stopped that a while ago, and I have to say it's made a profound difference in my everyday experience. So I used to have this, you know, I got to lose weight. I'm obsessed. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to exercise. I got to watch what I eat. I got to track. Exhausting. And today it was funny. We were at the gym and they were talking about the heart monitors, because we always wore heart monitors that would tell us, you know, where our heart is at and what calories we've burned. And it's really a great machine, a great thing to wear. But I stopped wearing it because I had to let go of the obsession. I also stopped weighing myself because I had to let go of the things that were creating so much misery for me and were actually creating the opposite of who I wanted to be, which is healthy, joyful, physically fit. All of those things I'm doing now without having that shadow cast over it. So look at all the different areas in your life and decide how you want to create them. So I'm just going to do a little plug for my Mindful Manifestation course, which is happening tomorrow. And if you're listening to this past October 18th, 2022, just get in touch with me if you're interested, because I'm definitely going to record this class. I don't know if I'll launch it again, but it's going to be amazing. I'm so excited about it. And I'm so excited for the team that has come together to be part of this. We're going to look at exactly where you are in every area of your life. And I'm going to help you to shift towards that desire so that it manifests in a way that you are able to really connect with it. So we're going to go over mind training, law of attraction. We're going to dive deep into law of attraction, and I'm going to give you the tools, the energy shifts, the remembrance of who you are, reminding you of who you are. And that class alone is going to help you shift. So it's 4 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday, October 18th. And I will actually put the link to sign up under the show notes, in the show notes. So getting back to this amazing conversation about mindfulness, there's going to be a lot of mindfulness in that course about really connecting with how does mindfulness connect with manifestation? How do I use mindfulness to help me really connect with the energies of what I'm looking to live in my life, of that being that I'm looking to become? That's what mindfulness is going to give you, is those tools to really kind of start fresh. That's what mindfulness is. It's freshness. It's a clean slate. I'm here right now. Nothing else matters. I don't need to react from my wounds. I don't need to react from the past. I don't need to react from my anxieties about the future. I don't need to do that, because when I do that, that's what I create more of. So it's about becoming super present, super aware, and then deciding what you want to actually happen. All right. So we want to build that muscle through meditation. That's the first thing. And number 2 is practice mindfulness about things you are ingesting. So those are foods, substances, TV, social media, anything you're listening to, anything you're talking about, all the things that you ingest and allow into your field are needing some attention. They're needing your attention, because if you have a conversation with someone every day, and I've had friends like this, and I've let them go because they're not good for my life experience. If you have, that whole idea of like misery loves company, right? If you have friends like that where you're constantly commiserating with and complaining with, you are all of you are lowering each other's vibes. And it may feel good to connect and resonate with people. I do value some of that, of being able to vent and to feel supported and to feel loved. But if it becomes a habit of complaining and talking about what you don't want, then you are consistently going to create that, and you want to stop doing that. If you are ingesting substances, drugs, alcohol, just do this. Like, be really mindful of what's happening in every sip or in every puff or every pill. Notice what's happening in your body. Pay attention, because, that conversation I had about mindful drinking, I'm like, eventually you're probably not going to do it. The more mindful you become about it and how it makes you feel, the less likely you're going to be to do it. Because I don't know too many people that really enjoy being drunk. I mean, maybe there are. I don't like the feeling. I really don't like the feeling. So in order for me to stay away from that feeling, I have to be mindful about what I'm doing and how much of that I'm allowing in my life. And so do you. So you can take your power back. Now, if you've got addictions, if you're addicted to these substances, I actually have an episode on addictions, but it really is for me, and I think for everyone, addiction is a mind game. So it's getting in touch with those emotions that you're trying to escape from. And also it's working on your mind training game, because honestly, most substances, your cells reevaluate, they recalibrate every 3 days. So most substances, the addiction is your mind. It's not a physical addiction unless you're doing like really hard drugs. So when you know this, after 3 days, I'm going to feel better, the more you stay away from it, the less likely you are to have that addictive quality to it, because eventually you win over your mind and your mind starts to leave you alone. So being mindful about, what am I putting in my body? Now, if I'm going to put in a Reese's peanut butter cup, which I recently revisited, and I love them, and I'm trying to stop eating them because I don't believe they're truly healthy for me. And I do feel that spirit, that connection, right? That bodily sensation. I feel a draw and it feels addictive to me. So my son-in-law was just visiting, and he is a Reese's peanut butter cup fan, and he tends to leave them in my fridge. And that kind of reawakened a little sugar monster in me that I've been working to let go of. The other day, I put them in my cart, and then I was self-checkouting, and I forgot to self-checkout that. And I looked at it and I put it back on the shelf, and I thanked the universe because I really didn't want it. And that's happened a few times with a few things recently, where the universe delivered what I say I wanted, instead of in the moment when I'm not being mindful, just going from a habit loop. So look at everything you're doing and become mindful to it. It's going to change it. It's going to absolutely change it. And you're not going to do things so unconsciously and mindlessly, and then finding yourself after the fact regretting, beating yourself up, feeling shame because you didn't live what you said you wanted to be. That's why. That's what all regrets are about, is you didn't live what you said you wanted to be. So let's start doing that. What did I say? If I say I want to be healthy, strong, and fit, and I keep eating Reese's peanut butter cups every day, that's a disconnect, right? If I'm being truly mindful and aware to who I want to be and the identity I want to live from, those things are not in that experience. They're not in that field. So I've got to start letting them go, which I'm doing. Of course, Halloween's coming up. So yeah, we'll see. I ain't perfect. That's for sure. All right. So number 2, practice mindfulness about everything you're ingesting. Decide what's serving you. And get present. So get really present with your food. It was funny. We had a conversation yesterday about my husband and I went out to dinner, went to this Mexican restaurant. And right before we walked in, and we don't eat Mexican a lot, but we found this great place and we wanted some chips and salsa. And we had this whole conversation about mindful eating right before. And we were saying, if you were really truly mindful when you were eating, you wouldn't overeat. And he was reading this book from a Buddhist monk, Thich Nhat Hanh. And he was saying how, if you chewed your food like 50 times, you would eat less because you'd be more mindful and aware. Your jaw would probably be tired, right? But you would recognize when you were full. Right. And you wouldn't just mindlessly be eating. So I totally go to this Mexican restaurant after that conversation. I totally overeat. It was so funny, not mindful at all, down in the chips and salsa, ate too much of my fajitas because they tasted so good. I was like, how does that happen? Like, how did we have this great conversation about mindfulness? And then I did the exact opposite. And I'm like, that is a lesson. Like, that is a lesson for me to go back in. And one of the things that I've done recently is that this intuitive eating, where it's like, what do I really want right now? And doing it from a heart-centered space, from my body, from like really connecting with my body. There's not usually any unhealthy foods in there. Every once in a while there is, but for the most part, it's about fuel. It's about fueling my body and not trying to suppress my emotions. That's super important when it comes to food. So if you get really connected to what you're eating, what you're putting in your body, you're going to change your physical experience, because you're not going to be as attracted to those foods that are going to bring you down a road that you said you don't want to drive down anymore. All right. Good for digestion, and you won't overeat if you chew the heck out of that food. Turn off your TV and electronics when you're eating. And that's one thing that we kind of got into the habit, was just eating dinner in front of the TV. I don't know why it happens, but it does, especially when dinner runs really late and we're just like tired and we want to shut our minds off. But being really present with your food and not having that distraction will keep you from overeating for sure. All right. Let me see where we're at. Oh yeah. So the whole thing, like even coffee, I was thinking about coffee, and like, if you're a coffee drinker and you drink coffee all day, I know a lot of people that do this. They like drink coffee for half the day. Really paying attention to like what coffee does for you and how it makes you feel. Because one cup of coffee, I feel it. Like I can feel it. And sometimes I can push it to like a cup and a half and then I really feel it. So if I was like really in tune with my body and what was going on, I probably wouldn't have that half a second cup because that caffeine is enough for me. Now, I'm not one who wants to give up coffee like ever because I really enjoy all of the elements to coffee in the morning. But if you notice that you are just running on this caffeine high all the time, it's connected to anxiety, it's connected to poor health. I mean, there's just a lot of things. So if you can switch that, and just maybe cut your quantity down a little bit, I think that you would probably feel a lot better. Same thing with drinking. When it comes to alcohol, if you started really tracking your alcohol, and I believe that I'm going to put the link in the comments about this thing that my husband shared with me. I believe it's called Sunnyside Mindful Drinking, and it's about tracking your drinks in the moment. Now, this may seem like work to you and like ridiculous, but it really does slow you down. And I think when we get ourselves in trouble with alcohol is when we don't have that mindfulness, and we're just, we just get caught up in the energy of it and we're just down in it and we're not really connecting with how we feel. It's the same thing we do when we overeat. We're not connecting really with how we feel. We're just trying to put things inside of our body to distract us from what's really going on. So that's a great thing for you to do with anything. I always share that I changed the word, and it's so interesting how our perceptions really create in our life. I've changed the word donuts to do nots. And ever since I did that, I do not eat them. I'm not even kidding you. So if you can change the way you look at things, the way you see them, instead of being like, oh, I just want donuts right now. If you look at it and go, those are do nots, your mind pretty much imprints that substance, that thing, as something you do not do. I do that with a lot of unhealthy foods, a lot of junk foods. Even like when people are like, oh, you should try this. It's so good. I made the mistake of trying gluten-free Oreos recently. Yeah, they were good. And now they call to me in the grocery store, but I never buy them. But this is the thing about stuff like that. When you introduce that stuff into your body, then you're introducing a thought process about how good it is, then you're going to want it more. So just like things like potato chips, like I don't eat those. I don't do that. I don't do shots. That's like one thing I gave up, like in my early 30s, late 20s. I don't do shots because your liver cannot process shots and you're getting wasted and you're doing stupid things. And good Lord, I don't even understand the whole point of shots. I don't get it. So, in order for you to take that power back in these experiences, you have to understand that when you become mindful, you're going to change what you're doing. And that is the key to changing what you're doing. Your responses are going to change by becoming mindful. You're going to do different things by becoming mindful. And I am in no way like woo-wooing or hoo-hooing or rah-rahing mindfulness and moderation and alcohol. I think people that give it up are amazing. I think they're legends. I think they're an incredible inspiration. This is just what I'm doing to navigate, and I feel like I'm creating a great relationship and I'm able to really navigate it differently than I ever have before. And eventually I really do think it will go. But for you, if you're in a situation where you've given it up, don't go back. Good Lord. If you got, 100 days, 200 days, 300 days, don't go back, because once you let a substance like this go, there's no reason to reintroduce it. Once you got that all figured out, there's no reason to reintroduce it. And especially if you had a huge problem with it before. I see a lot of people do that and it's not great. All right. So number 3, think about and become aware of what you are watching and exposing yourself to. So notice the feelings you get when you're watching the news. Hopefully you're not watching the news. Notice the feelings you get when you're I don't know what's going on. I got to be honest with you. I don't know what's going on. There's been a couple of things that have happened. I mean, even the hurricane in Florida, I caught some stuff on Facebook, but I didn't really see. And honestly, like, I know everybody wants to know what's happening and everybody wants to feel sorry for people that are involved in this. And it's like, why are we doing that? we're just dropping our vibrations. We're just putting ourselves in places of misery over things that are really none of our business, you know? So, I mean, unless you want to help and you want to support and you want to go do something about it, great. But I'm really in this idea of it's not putting your head in the sand. It's about protecting your field, and it's about creating the life that you really want to live and being in your joy. If you are constantly letting something steal your joy, if you are constantly entertaining things that make you worry, that make you concerned, that make you less than, what the hell is the point of that? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, I have to know, I have to be aware, I have to be in the know. Why? God, if COVID showed us anything, there is, first of all, truth is very convoluted, and there's no reason to pay attention to this stuff, because a lot of times what we're being told is not true, and it's fear based. It's creating fear within us. I also think, you know, a lot of the movies and things they're putting out is very fear based and is planting seeds of fear within us so that we won't feel like we live in a safe world. People that don't feel like they live in a safe world are hyper focused on themselves, and they don't create. They don't go out and take chances. They don't take risks, and they're very much easily controlled. So we want to protect our fields from the things that are going to make us feel like we're easily controlled, or the things that make us feel truly powerless. We want to protect our fields from that, and you will be so much better off. Number 4, becoming more present and aware to how you are thinking and feeling about others. So I shared a little bit about this. Realize that everything you are sending out to people, they are feeling. They are getting the message, whether you are saying the message to them or not. You are tuning into a frequency with them, depending on how you're feeling about them and what you're saying about them and what you're conducting about them. You're totally tuning into a frequency that you're going to get more of with them. So pay attention to that. The people in our lives, the relationship in our lives, you know, if you're struggling in a relationship and you're having a hard time with a teen or a parent or a spouse, understand that in order to shift that relationship, compassion is so important. Putting yourself in their shoes, understanding that we're all doing the best we can, even if it doesn't look like it, and giving people a little bit of a break, not a pass to be shitty, not like that, but a break in the way of, you know, I see you and I see your struggles, and I love you and I support you, and I'm not going to pick on you. Because picking on people, again, it's just activating a vibration that you do not want more of. Realize that with every thought, word, and deeds towards that person, you are creating. You are absolutely creating the world that you live with them. You're creating the relationship you have with them, and you are in control of that. No matter what they are doing, you are in control of that. Number 5, practice listening to your inner guidance and connecting with your heart more. How do I feel? What do I want to feel? How do I want to feel? What do I want to create? When you go within, instead of going to everybody else and asking their advice, when you go within and say, what do I really want? What do I really want to happen? Then you become a more powerful creator. Then you become someone who is aligned with the energy of what you would like to manifest. That's what that's all about. That inner guidance, that quieting the mind, it tunes you into your intuition. And there are so many miracles involved with your intuition. When you take that intuition, when you listen to that small voice and you go through with it, really cool things happen. Miracles happen. You witness miracles. And when you don't listen to it, you see how if you had listened to it, things would have worked out better. So that still small voice, that intuition, that guide within, that's always there for you. It's just whether you're in the monkey mind of thoughts or you've dropped those thoughts and you've gotten present and you've asked yourself, what do I really want to happen? What do I really want to do? You know, if you're faced with something you don't want to do, you know, if you don't want to, I don't know, if you don't want to, you know, drive somebody somewhere. Say you don't want to drive somebody to the doctors. You're supposed to drive them to the doctors. And then you realize that you had all this stuff to do and you're feeling overwhelmed. You know, a lot of times that will just like recalibrate and someone else will do it. And then they'll tell you, like, if you get a message and they're like, oh, I found a ride, you don't have to do it. Oh, cool. Like tomorrow. So I've got my manifestation course. I have an interview for a podcast in the morning. And then in the afternoon, right before my class was going to launch, I had to do a re-recording for Quantum Speak, because we redid the title and a few things within the book. So I have to go and redo that so we can have the audio for Mindful Manifestation Secrets. That's going to be coming up super soon. I can just feel it. I recorded this like last February, I think, and never got it out there. And I tried to upload it and it didn't work. So I feel like it was part of the plan to wait on this so we can revamp it with the new title and the podcast episodes. So everything works out, right? Everything works out the way it's supposed to. But that got canceled. It got moved. And I was like, oh, that's great. Because I don't want to be stressed when I'm doing that. I don't want to be overwhelmed tomorrow. I want to be chill. I want to feel peaceful. I want to feel joyful. And I want to bring that all to you during this class. So sometimes that happens. But if things really aren't what you want them to be, you're the one who has to change them. You're the one who has to say, I have a choice here. I have a choice to answer this person. I have a choice to say, you know what, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Is there any way you can get somebody else to help you? If you can't, I will. But if you can, you may give someone else a chance to deliver on something, to help someone and support someone. You never know. A lot of times those things work out better because you took yourself out of the obligatory process. All right. So number 6. Bring your attention consistently back to the moment, especially when something is bothering you. So, this determination, this every single day process of working on yourself. I'm actually working on a daily guide right now for you guys. I'm super pumped about it. It's coming out like so fast. I'm probably going to have that launched at least by Christmas. When you do this daily, like the daily at moment to moment focus and awareness, that's when you really are powerful, because it's so easy to let this stuff go. It's so easy to just not pay attention for a minute. It's so easy to go back to your old habits. There has to be a diligence. There has to be a determination. Life is not going to just be this ease and flow all the time. There's going to be contrast. There's going to be challenges, because you were brought here to expand and grow. So the easier, the better you can navigate those things, and understanding that, the easier your life will flow, because you won't be in so much resistance all the time. So pay attention consistently. Bring yourself back to the moment. This is a practice, guys. A practice. A practice means you have to practice. So if you see yourself way down the road of a year or two from now and you're worried, or if you're worried about your retirement, if you're worried about what happened yesterday, if you've got a bunch of regrets about yesterday, bring yourself back to here, to now. Just go, I'm going to be here now. I am here right now. Have a little mantra. Be here now. Be here now, right? Just be here now. That's all you have to do. When you do that, all the stuff that you've been worried about and carrying around and concerned about goes away in that moment, and you're free. You're free to be present. You're free to just be here. That feeling of like, oh, it's Friday night and I don't have to work until Monday. And you're like, oh, yes, that's so great. And then Monday comes and you're like, crap, now I have to work the whole week. That's taking those moments and sending anxiety to your future. It's like, no, I just need to be present with what I'm doing right now. I need to just get in the car and drive to work and look at the trees. I need to get to work and let my day unfold in the beauty of the present moment, instead of being all concerned about what's happening next, what's happening next, what's happening next. We're like addicted to that like what, that mind, that monkey mind drive towards the next moment ruins this moment. So if we want to be in this moment, we have to decide. One of the things I've shared with you guys a lot, and I'm going to do it probably every show for the rest of my life, is my walks in the morning. Nigel Jones, Walking Back to Happiness. I am literally just present with nature, present with the sky, present with the birds, present with the smells. I mean, that to me, it's 30 minutes of my day is some of the most precious time because it's just me. It's just me and nature and whatever beautiful being walks by me smiling. It's a wonderful time to decide that I'm going to do that. And guess what I was doing in those 30 minutes? I was scrolling social media. I was doing silly things. Like, I have not missed this 30 minutes in my life, but I will tell you, it has become so much richer because I've decided to do that. In fact, today I was thinking, I'm going to squeeze one of these in the afternoon. Why not? Right? I can put the computer down for a half an hour and go do that. I feel like you get more out of life when you do these things. And when you make the decision that you have the time to do them, time opens up to you. One of the other things I've been doing is my 3 pages in the morning. So Julia Cameron, she's the author of Artist's Way. She talks about 3 pages. And what I've done with the 3 pages, I didn't read The Artist's Way. I'll be totally honest with you. A long time ago, I read it, but I've been reading her life story, Floor Sample, which is like mind boggling. There's a lot of similarities between some of the things that she's doing and some of the things I'm doing, but I'm just doing 3 pages in my creative space. So I've been working on my guide. I'm doing that Mindful Manifestation Guide to Living, or Live Life Golden Guide to Living. Haven't picked the title for that one yet. I'm working on my prequel to Quantum Speak, or Mindful Manifestation Secrets. And I'm also working on a book project with someone else. So I've got these three big projects that could really tailspin me, but instead I'm doing 3 pages a day. Those 3 pages a day I do at 4:00 in the morning before I go to the gym. So they're always getting done. And I love it. Oh, I love my time. It's like the house is all quiet and I just sit and I let it flow and I allow it to come through. And 3 pages a day gives you 90 pages in a month. So we get a book in a month, and that's pretty freaking cool. So that's the creative space. You've got to spend time creating, because creating is higher consciousness. That might actually have been one of the tips to mindfulness that I didn't include. All right, 7, love and be present with who you're with. This will vastly improve your relationships and your connections. People will not feel like you're not paying attention to them or feel like they're not lovable if you are listening to them, if you are connecting with them. If you're not just sitting there thinking about the next thing you're going to say or putting your agenda on them, but you're really listening, you're going to improve your relationships. Like, if people feel heard, relationships improve. If you sit there and you listen and you value someone's time, if you value someone's love and attention, you absolutely will win in that relationship. Now, it should be a 2-way street. You know, they should have time when they're open to listening to you. And if they're not, if you got a bunch of dumpers in your life and they're just dumping on you, I'd look at that. I'd get mindful about that. I'd see how that makes you feel. And I'd start putting in some boundaries around that relationship if it's becoming too much. You can say no. You can walk away. Number 8, understand that being mindful gives you a clear and clean state. So that zero state awareness where everything is created from. Mindfulness is giving you the ability to be in this moment where everything is created from and to choose your responses as such. So if you're in that moment and you're not thinking about the past and how this person has done this to you over and over again, you will create from a different response. You'll be able to have the ability to create from a different response. It doesn't mean you will, but awareness is the first step, right? Awareness doesn't really do much, but it does allow us to come to a new place of understanding. The next thing that needs to happen is the mindfulness needs to go into manifestation by taking your power back and deciding how you're going to respond. That's how mindfulness and manifestation work. You can be mindful and still manifest the same because your response is the same, or you can be mindful and decide to change your response. And that's how manifestations change and become more of. So that's pretty exciting. You may need to work on some of your triggers. You've got some wounds and some things, and I've recently had some triggers come up, and the triggers that I've had recently is I don't want to be anybody's guinea pig. I don't want people trying things out on me and charging me a lot of money to do that. So that's been one of my triggers. And that trigger is connected to, through journaling and through processing, that trigger is connected to me not thinking I can do these things, me not thinking that I'm smart enough or worthy enough to figure things out. So that was that thing. And then the second trigger I had was, not being regarded, not being thought about. not being acknowledged in certain ways with certain people. And because I had these pretty big triggers for me, uh, a whole new awareness came, a whole new expanded vision of myself, a whole new release, first of all. So I'm not carrying this baggage around that is potential to triggers. Because if you've got a bunch of baggage that you haven't dealt with, that is a potential for a trigger. So you go within, you start journaling about it. Why do I feel this way? What is coming up for me? How do I shift this? All of those things will allow you. And sometimes you got to trigger, like you got to pull the trigger. You have to let this stuff out so it stops festering within you and allow yourself to come to more. Now, if you're just having rage and you're not really creating any awareness or any progress from it, then it's not really serving you. But if you are having moments where you're really expressing how you feel very intensely and strongly, and it creates change, there's action and anger. And sometimes that's where we get to in this human experience because we've never really been taught to tell people how we really feel, right? We've never really been taught to acknowledge our feelings. We were told to shut up and sit down and be quiet and go to your room. So we have to become the adults in our life. We have to become the nurturers in our life that allow us to begin the process of connecting with our emotional field, connecting with our bodily sensations, connecting with what we're feeling emotionally so that we can start deciding what we want to do moving forward, and realize that whatever this person's triggering within you, they're not the original transgressor. They're not the ones who created this wound for you. So once you realize who that was and where that comes from, this person doesn't have to be the projection for it. They don't have to reflect it to you anymore once you heal it, and you don't have to come from a triggered state any longer. So that's the work, that's the deeper work that I do in my courses and my classes that allows people to become more. So the manifestation class is going to definitely touch on that stuff, give you the process for that stuff. I'm actually going to release some energy for you so that you can start becoming a more powerful creator. All right. The more you can turn your attention and focus inwards, towards this moment. Okay, so the more you can turn your attention and focus towards this moment, the more successful you will become at mindfulness. And mindfulness truly is bliss. When you are in this moment, powerfully here right now, it can be truly blissful. When you're having a great conversation with someone and you're laughing and you're enjoying each other's company, or you're watching a funny show and you're really laughing and connecting with the characters, or a great movie. We just saw the movie Amsterdam and I absolutely loved it. I highly recommend it. It was a really great movie, a really powerful message. When you're really in that moment, being present, and you kind of forget everything else that's going on, that's when you can feel bliss. That's when you can let everything go. All those things that are bothering you, all those worries, those concerns, those energies that you're sending to things, you get a break from that. And when you break from that, you break the conduction from that, and then new things can transpire. It's similar to meditation, where you are allowing a state of consciousness, a higher state of consciousness, by not being distracted by your mind. So mindfulness is like meditating with your eyes open. That's what it's like, because you're putting yourself in higher states of consciousness because you're not subject to the monkey mind. You're allowing yourself to be quiet in the moment. Being fully present means you won't forget things. You won't trip over things. You won't miss things. I can't even tell you how many times my kids say things to me and I totally miss it because I'm not paying attention. Or, I forget things because I'm not paying attention. Or I miss things because I'm not paying attention. Definitely have had that trouble before. So you're going to be a better creator, and your life is going to be a lot more powerfully flowing because you're going to be aware. So you're going to be on top of things. And when we're on top of things, things work much more productively and effectively. It means you get to enjoy all the beauty this life has to offer, and you act and magnify the beauty amplify, magnify the beauty with your attention to it, because what you focus on expands. So that's what mindfulness is. It's being in this beautiful moment. It's recognizing the preciousness of life. It's understanding that we take life for granted. We take a lot of things for granted. And when we don't feel the gratitude for the life that we have, oftentimes things can go crappy because we're taking advantage. We're taking from the universe. We're not giving our gratitude. We're not giving our appreciation. We're not lending to the beauty of life when we're not noticing it. Things are not beautiful unless we notice them. So when you connect with that mindfulness, you connect with the zero state awareness where everything is created from, and you become the most powerful creator there is. And that is how I want to live. All right, my class launches tomorrow, Tuesday, October 18th, 2022. I've got some really exciting stuff coming up. I'm actually interviewing someone for the podcast. I will have a guest on pretty soon who is pretty special to me, and I'm really super pumped about that. I found out last night and I was jumping up and down and super excited. There are great things coming for you. I want you to understand this. There are great things coming for you no matter how you feel right now. The fact that you've listened to this, the fact that you've allowed this to activate something within you is huge. If you want to be part of my course, click that sign up link and get in there. If it's beyond the date, just hit me up, livelifegolden@gmail. Let me know. I will get the recording to you for some exchange of energy. The guided meditations and emotional releases I do are powerful. People have given me feedback that they are really helpful in shifting their energy fields. The more we can shift into these higher states, the better our lives are going to become. The more we can shift into mindfulness and beauty and love and compassion, the more flow we're going to have, the more abundance we're going to experience, the more creativity and passion we will have, because we're taking our eyes off all the problems. We're taking our focus and attention off the things that are not going well, and we're deciding to put them on the things that are going well. And that's how we create a momentum of wellness. All right. I love you all. Let me know how you're doing. You can get into my Facebook group, Manifest to Live Life Golden. That's on Facebook. You can follow me at Live Life Golden on Instagram and TikTok. And also, we are launching an M21 Revolution. Super excited about that. In November, we're going to do a 21-day challenge. So if you are looking to learn to meditate, or you're looking to take your practice deeper, or you're looking to recommit to your practice, this is a great way to do it. It's M21 Revolution on Facebook. I'll put the link below. That is an incredible community of people. I think we have 300 and something people in there. We put up daily posts during the challenge, guided meditations. There's hundreds of videos in there already and posts already to support you on your journey to meditation and mindfulness. And I do that with my partner, Jess, who I adore. Her husband actually just raced Kona. They are triathletes. Yogi Triathlete is her business, and they are just incredible people, like so inspiring, so incredible. So you want to listen to Jess. She's got a lot of great things to say. She says a lot of what I'm saying, but she says it differently. So she may touch you in a different way, which we found really works well in this community. So join M21 Revolution. It's a free group on Facebook, and we throw out donation-based challenges. So donations are helpful. They help exchange the energy, but the group is free to enjoy all of the awesome stuff we have in there. So that's coming in November. Once we get a little closer, I'll let you know the exact date. And I love y'all. Peace.